Good evening, everyone. We'll start in just about a minute or so. We are just having a lot of attendees join in right away. So once they're in, then we will start the session. Thank you. Very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on a Wednesday evening. Very odd time. I hope that's a Wednesday. Yes. On a Wednesday evening, a lot of times students come to me and say, ma'am, why Wednesday evenings? Because I think we put too much pressure on weekends. We put too much pressure on Saturdays and Sundays to get free and then attend sessions and then try and see if we can gather new knowledge. So why not break the monotony? Why not come somewhere midweek? Try and see if you can hustle around a little bit on your schedules and still get to see what are the new things that are available. My name is Anju. I head admissions and marketing for Rishihood University. Rishihood is a new age university at Sonipat, Delhi NCR. And we have some tremendous courses which are very futuristic in their own approach in terms of programs that are offered to students. But more on that later. I think today all of you all have joined in for a session on what after class 12. Very interesting question. What I'm going to do is, I think the chat box is open. And while I have a few more students joining in, let me quickly just run through a very basic, a very generic question that I would like all of you all to sort of answer. All of you all to sort of also let me know whether that makes sense to you. And so I can also get a grasp of what am I looking at, who are the sort of students that I'm looking at. So quick chat box option, all of you all, if you can just let me know, what are the sort of careers, what are the sort of programs that you're looking at after class 12? I'm guessing a lot of you are in grade 12, grade 11. If you can just quickly use the chat box option on your screens and put across what are the sort of career opportunities that you're looking at, I would be very glad to look at things as well. Yes, come on. I have so many of you all here. I just have one particular option. All right. Journalism. Thanks, Karan. Rindo says BTech IT. Lavanya says entrepreneurship. Then I have Himang says BA psychology, MBBS, BA teaching and BA, BSc entrepreneur. Oh my God. This is lovely. This is lovely. What else? That's it. 4, 5, 6. Engineering ho gaya, medicine ho gaya, management is there. I have psychology. NIFT, okay. Journalism again, all right. Entrepreneurship again. Law, that's interesting. If someone, Shruti, wants to do teaching and BA, okay, that's interesting as well. Harsh says finance. Guys, if you would just put it on the chat box, it's easier. If you're going to cloud up my Q&A box, I'm not going to be able to see. There are two boxes on your screen. One is for Q&A, one is for chat. All right, so if you can put across your answers in the chat box, it's easier for me. I have another psychology aspirant here. All right. Marketing, photography. I want to go abroad. And go abroad and do what, Chavi? What are the things that you're looking at? Go abroad and explore things, or go abroad and look at a certain career opportunity? How is it going to be like? Trader, broker. All right, that's interesting. Okay. All right, so I have a host of careers, which means I have a very diverse profile of students here, and I'm going to try and see if I can make this as interesting as possible for all of you all. Here's how we're going to do this today. I'll just broadly brief you on what are the sort of options that you can look at, what are the sort of careers that have coming up. Someone wants to go abroad to study BCA and MCA. All right, Rohit. So what are the sort of career options that you can look at? What are the sort of new career options that have come up for students as well? Not just the ones that you've mentioned, but also in terms of other avenues that you can explore. We'd also set a base for why this is necessary. I think one very critical question that all of us as human beings forget in our hustle bustle every day is that we forget to ask a question called as why. Fine. I want to pursue BBA, but why? Is there a particular reason? Do you have an interest in BBA, or is your family full of entrepreneurs and business people and therefore you want to do BBA? What is that why? Why are we looking at new age career options in the first place? Why are we looking at what after class 12? But we're not only talking about, very watertight specializations. We are actually talking about diverse options that you can actually pursue, whether it be any particular field, whether you're looking at MBBS, whether you're looking at engineering, or whichever way that it can be. So we'll understand the why. We'll understand what is the scenario today in the world. What is how is the global economy shaping up? What are the certain trends and what are the certain situations that have happened that have caused us to look at options which are much beyond the regular regular rung of what do you say? A regular rung of career options that we usually look at. So we'll look at those particular bases. I'll also briefly touch base upon how should you go about then charting down your course. So how should you actually jot down what is the way that I should go ahead? What is the way that I should, sort of finalize my career option, or I should look at a couple of options and then look at, and obviously, what are the parameters that you look at when you are looking at a good institution? When you're looking at an undergraduate program at any particular institution, whether it is India, whether it is abroad, whichever way, what are the certain common parameters that you need to look at before you choose the right university, before you choose the right institution as well? So that's how the entire next 1 odd hours is going to be. I'm going to try and see that I let you know about this concept through a lot of stories, because I think storytelling is something which is an interesting concept, and it has sustained generations and generations of different people coming in, and yet, passing of information has happened through storytelling as such. So we're going to try and use a lot of stories, a lot of company stories. We'll try and see how certain people have been able to make changes, some examples, and then see how interactive this can be. So yes, the chat box is open. Himang has also mentioned that I want to pursue a career as a therapist abroad, as mental health is given more importance there. I think, Himang, mental health is being given a lot of importance in India also right now, although I think culturally we are still yet to come around that concept. But having said that, there are a lot of opportunities in India as well that you can look at on the same thing. All right, first things first. What after class 12? This is a question that probably hounds all of the students when they are in grade 12. Till grade 12, everyone is very happy. हम लोग exam दे रहे हैं, pre-boards चल रहा है, and we are trying to do all of this. My only tension in the world is how do I clear a math paper or an English paper or a physics paper or a chemistry paper. But the moment I come into 12 and I'm done with my pre-board lot and I'm sort of waiting for the board exams to finish, the moment that portion is done, then the question starts to tick in as to what do I do after class 12? What are the sort of options that I can take? there's a very beautiful concept called as globalization. Globalization came into India long back, somewhere in, about 20, 30 years back, somewhere around 91, 92 is the timeline that India got globalized. India opened up to the world, wherein a lot of transfers, a lot of exchanges could happen in terms of products, in terms of, in terms of companies coming in, investing in us, in terms of us going outside and investing, or us going outside and giving out our services as well. So we opened up to the world. We from a very shy country, we opened up and became a very beautiful, shining tiger within the entire space. So globalization was a concept that was introduced 30 years back, and till date, to a large extent, that's the reason why there are multiple options, there are multiple careers that have come in as well. I'm going to cite a small example of here. So there is this company called as Bajaj. Do all of you know? Because I don't know whether your generation knows Bajaj or not. Do all of you know that there is a company called Bajaj? Yes, no, anything on the chat box? Guys, please feel free to, interact as much. Yes, 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 yes. I have a lot of yes. Okay, fine. So fair enough. All of you know the company called Bajaj. Bajaj naturally is into automobiles. That's their main business. And then now they've branched into multiple other areas as well. Look at Bajaj's story. For a long time, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, Bajaj had 97% of the market share when it came to scooters. All right. So about 97%. So if there were 100 scooters that were being sold in the country, 97 of them were Bajaj scooters. That was the sort of monopoly they had in the market. In fact, it is said that if you had to get a scooter, so let's say any of you all, I have someone by name Suhail here. So let's say Suhail wants a bike. Your father thinks that, okay, fine, when my son Suhail turns 18, I should give him a bike or I should give him a scooter. Your father would have had to book that scooter when you were 8 years of age. There was a 10-year waiting line for anyone to buy a simple, beautiful Bajaj scooter. Extremely functional, extremely sturdy. The product was fantastic. There used to be a campaign around that time called as Hamara Bajaj, a beautiful song. There's an entire family trying to imitate as if they're going on a scooter. And it was said that the moment a child is born in a family, in an Indian family, वो मम्मी पापा बोले या नहीं बोले, बजाज जरूर बोलेगा, क्योंकि हमारा बजाज इतना ज्यादा अच्छा concept था. It was such a strong concept. It was a homely brand. And naturally, it was time tested. It was very, very sturdy, very, very functional. And it had a good run across all of those years. So throughout 70s, throughout 80s, Bajaj never had a problem called as marketing. Bajaj never thought about the concept that I need to tell people about my product, because my product was already that strong that people had a 10-year waiting line process. Cut to 91, 92. The then finance minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, at that point of time, he was the finance minister of the country, decided that, it's time we need to address the unemployability issues in the country, and let me look at opening up the entire cosmos, opening up the entire country to newer opportunities. And therefore, we've got into this concept called as globalization. So globalization was essentially that until 91, 92, all that you could do is buy products which were made in India. Fine. So if you drink chahiye hota tha, cola chahiye hota tha, so you did not have Coca-Cola, you had something called as Bovonto or something else. Fine. If you wanted a biscuit, it would be Parle G, but maybe not something else. So Dr. Manmohan Singh opened up the economy and he said, let's get globalized. Let's have more people come in. Let's have newer companies. Let's have newer products come into the market. Let's give the audience, let's give our countrymen more options to explore. And therefore, when I globalize, many, many companies come to start and set up their shops, and therefore that will increase my employability. Now, when this happened, naturally, the idea was that you're opening up the entire environment. The entire idea was that you are opening up the entire economy to an extent that other people can come in and invest, other people can come in and put in new products as well, right? Now, imagine what happened to Bajaj. All of a sudden, the entire market, which barely had 2-3 players, a Bajaj, maybe an LML Vespa, maybe one more thing, all of a sudden, the entire market was flooded with these new, snazzy, extremely quirky looking products called as motorbikes, right? So you had a lot of bikes that had come into picture. Now, Suhail is on the call with me. Suhail, I would want you to answer. If you were 18 at that point of time, and your father said, Suhail, you have two options. Will you go and do you want me to get you a Bajaj scooter? जो हम जानते हैं, form है, function है, बहुत sturdy है. It's a very, very, it's a good product. So do you want me to get a Bajaj scooter, or do you want me to get a Kawasaki bike? Which one will you prefer? And not just Suhail, anyone else also if you want to do. Suhail says Kawasaki. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to go for Bajaj, or Kawasaki bike is the more cooler version? Yes? Okay, I have another Kawasaki, I have another Kawasaki. Okay, so a lot of them are on Kawasaki bikes. Fine. Why did this happen? Yes, Kawasaki is more expensive, but why did this happen? Please understand, till date, for years, India is a very young country. When I say young country, it doesn't mean in terms of the number of years that we've existed as an independent country, but in terms of the population. Okay, we are a large burgeoning population, but we are a very young audience. Our average age of an Indian, even today, is 24, 25, 26 years of age, not beyond that. Now, for a youngster, when I present him with a scooter, which is and when I present him with a Kawasaki Bajaj, which is, a cool, snazzy, extremely wonderful looking product that is there, naturally your entire inclination is towards Kawasaki. So naturally, my entire country's average population, which is very young, wants to do Kawasaki, because I don't think Bajaj mere ko maza aayega. If I have to take a friend of mine on a bike, I would prefer going on a bike ride, even if the brand is new, rather than going into an older brand, which makes very funny noises and which my father probably uses, has a very old age sort of. Now, this particular development, a large economical development in the country, hit Bajaj like anything. All of a sudden, from 97% of a share in the market, it dipped down to almost 60, 65%. Now imagine a company which never thought कि मुझे marketing करना ही पड़ेगा, or never thought that, I have to, I need to go tell people about my product. This company suddenly was facing a crisis where 60% only 60% of the share belonged to it, and the large 40% of the share, and a very growing share, went on to these newer companies and newer particular organizations that were taking up all of these things. Bajaj was in a turmoil. And Bajaj thought, okay, fine, we need to readjust. So Rahul Bajaj, who was heading Bajaj earlier, he recently passed away. His son, Rajiv and Sanjeev, came down from Harvard, Stanford, etc., etc. And they said, okay, fine, Dad, you handle all of the other aspects. We're going to take care of the main business, and we're going to try and see how we can revive the situation. So overnight, a lot of people lost their jobs within the company. They had to give them voluntary retirement services. They had to cut down costs. But more importantly, they had to think through a lot of new things. They had to think through a lot of new paradigms. Now, one of you can ask me that, you said the session is on what after class 12, and why are we listening to Bajaj's story? The entire idea about telling you the story is about how Bajaj changed and why are we talking about different careers. Now look at Bajaj as a product. You had to adapt to a new product, right? So you couldn't sell scooters anymore the same way. You had to appeal to the younger audience. Therefore, you had to develop a new product, which was a bike. So Bajaj Pulsar was the answer to all of these guys. Definitely Mail was the tagline that used to run around that time. Now, building a new product means product development, which means more engineers, more people who can visualize the product, more people who can, work on the function, and so on and so forth. So you had a lot of engineers being, working across on that particular. The product needed to look good. The product needed to look very appealing. Who does that? That's a design student's work. That is someone whose function on product design, he's going to sit, he's going to understand how the design can be more relatable to a customer. What sort of features can we put in that it looks nice, whether the lights have to be yellow, whether the lights have to be, white, whichever way. Should the seat be SR, or should the seat be like this, whichever way. All of these particular aspects are part of the design, the product designer's thought process. So comes under the perspective of, it comes under the perspective of design. Then naturally, I also need to think of the fact that how does it appeal to my customers? Who are my customers? Who are these people? Who are these youngsters? What are they thinking? How do I present myself? That particular work, that particular understanding of someone else's thought process came in from the concept of psychology, which means I had to hire psychologists. I had to hire people who could understand human behavior very well, consumer behavior very well. And the same guys were also people who would blend in that information into something called as marketing, because now I had to market. Suddenly there were so many players in the market. I had to tell people that I was Bajaj. So what is that tagline that would help people get glued to me? पहले हम हमारा बजाज बोलते थे, तो अभी हमें कुछ और बताना है, which can be more appealing to the larger audience. So I have a marketing person designing ways in which you can go ahead and push through thought processes on how you can pitch in your product, right? So we've spoken about psychology, we've spoken about marketing, we've spoken about product design, designers, we've spoken about engineers, right? And then out of all of this came another thought process: what is the pricing? Isko price kya karenge? You know, how do I juxtapose it with respect to the other markets, other products that are in the market? So market analysis, understanding what is the entire economic facilities, what are the sort of costs, and how do I decide what is my demand, what is my supply, how do I understand these concepts and decide a price? That came under economics. So we had to hire people who had an economics background as well, and they came into the picture, right? Then to understand whether is it even making profit for me? Is it even ensuring that my business sustains? These are thought processes that a finance guys gets into picture. So understand throughout this entire, just one major change within the ecosystem made Bajaj think into multiple areas as well, multiple ways, multiple perspectives that they had to bring into their thought process so that they could change their products. This is why these perspectives, this requirement for you to be able to think in a very varied manner, in a very diverse manner, is what has necessitated the emergence of multiple career options today that you can figure out. And that is why globalization is such an important, important aspect. That is why globalization is such an important concept that you need to understand. Everything is interconnected. Everything. I want to ask all of you all here. If I tell you that I will give you an option where you can study mathematics, so you need to build a career of using mathematics and music. Can you do it? Do you think music and mathematics go hand in hand? Yes, no, yes, no, no. Okay, what else? Let me see. No, no, no. Shreya says yes. Okay. I have someone by the name Extraordinary. I'd like to talk to you after the session. Yes, no. Someone says yes. A lot of you guys are saying no, 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 no. Music and mathematics don't go hand in hand. Okay. Someone who's saying yes. Gargi, Shreya, Shrishti, anyone. Any of you all, can you tell me why? Why do you think music and mathematics can go hand in hand? Lakshya says if someone tells us how to do it, then we'll use it. Okay. Okay. Rohit says no. No. अच्छा no. Hello, excuse me. No बोलोगे तो भी reason देना पड़ेगा कि आपको क्यों लगता है कि maths and mathematics नहीं चल सकते साथ में. Lavanya, very intelligent, maybe very intelligent, neutral, but no. Yes. So someone tell me, if you think that maths and music cannot go together, why can't they go together? And if you think they can go together, tell me why can they? I started the session saying we don't ask questions called why. Okay, Chavi, is my voice clearer right now? Because I think the others are still okay. You'll have to just check your audio once, right? Different types of intelligence can coexist. Yes, Shrish, that is nice. No match at all. Newton's law of oxygen science, there can be connection in maths. We have to find it, and I think, okay, music can help memorize mathematical formulas and concepts. Okay, not bad. A lot of good answers. Now, let us look at the commonality between the two of them. Okay, music and maths can go hand in hand. You can make careers out of it. Fine. One of the most successful careers that I've seen across the last 10 years is the subject called as sound engineer, where you have a lot of mathematical concepts, a lot of scientific concepts, but you also have music. You're trying to understand music and then placing it together. Sound engineering actually works across a lot with music and math. Look at music. Okay. How do you go through music? Usually if you are learning music, you'll always have a beat, no? 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. There is a certain rhythm that you have in music as well. Saregamapa is a certain rhythm. There is a rhythm between that. Similarly, you look at mathematics, you have what? Mathematics where you have arithmetic progression, you have 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 and 10 and 12. Again, there is a particular rhythm. Both of them are very rhythm driven. Both of them are very pattern driven. Therefore, there is a lot of commonality between the two. I've had students in my career, and I've been counseling students for the last 15 years now. I've had students who have taken subjects in applied mathematics and they've combined music into it, and they're making mathematical models to explain their music company's work. Fine. Similarly, environmental studies, EVS, बहुत ही ज़्यादा ignored area है. A lot of people do not look at environmental studies as a subject, as a serious subject. People always think कि हाँ वो तो extra subject है, हम कुछ ना कुछ निकाल लेंगे. EVS and maths can actually go hand in hand as well, because if you look at nature also, whichever tree, whichever part of nature that you look at, they're always symmetrical. They always have a certain pattern. So mensuration, a lot of concepts of mensuration actually come down from your nature, and you can combine them and build beautiful careers. So I think today, I often tell this to students that today is a time when you can make your passion your profession. Someone that I know, a very dear friend of mine, she was fantastic at art, fantastic at creativity, loved creating new designs, loved doing things in face painting and God knows what and all, fine. Today, she works as a prop stylist with Bollywood. So she's a prop stylist with Bollywood. Her entire work is, if you've known of art direction, if you've known of sets, the way that you can have, your film sets are there. आपके किसी भी serial का जो set होता है. I don't know whether you've noticed this, and if you've not, guys, I think this is the time you need to start doing this. Fine. Whenever you see ads on the TV or ads on Netflix or ads on whichever platform that you're watching something, consuming some content for entertainment, please watch those ads. Those ads are going to give you a lot of insight into a lot of things. I do not know whether you all have noticed this, but there is a Dettol ad that comes, which talks about how the guy gets a promotion, husband and wife, father-in-law, everyone in the same house. And the husband gets a promotion and a promotion and a promotion. And he comes home and he's very joyful and he says, okay, fine, I've got a promotion, fantastic. Thanks to you, father, for your support and so on and so forth. And the father says, no, I think a lot of credit goes to your wife, who's ensured that the house is spick and span. And she uses Dettol. She takes care of everyone's health by using Dettol products. Now, if you have noticed that ad, yes, ad making is under advertising, branding, communications, marketing, and so on and so forth. But if you look at that ad, right from the guy's shirt to the girl's kurta, to the father-in-law's t-shirt, to the sort of, to the tablecloth that they use in that set, in terms on the main table, on the, in your, what do you say, your living room, the sofa sets, all of them are green. All of them are a shade of green. Why? Because they match the actual companies. They match Dettol's main color called as green. Now, this work, what sort of way? How do I place a certain vase? Do I place a green vase with what sort of flowers? How do I place a certain runner? This is called art direction, a larger word. And a smaller role in this is called as a prop stylist. Now, who would have ever thought 30, 40 years back that I could become a prop stylist in movies? I could become a prop stylist in serials or in ads. You could be a voiceover artist. If you have a very strong voice, if you have a very, your voice modulation is very, very good. You can be very expressive with your voice. You can become a voiceover artist. A lot of my students keep asking, I want to do voiceovers, but how do I pursue it as a career? Very simple. There are places like I Volunteer is an organization where I personally also volunteer. These are places where you can actually do a voiceover. You can record your voice. You can narrate a story for the particular children that they cater to. And those voiceovers can be your experience when you're actually pushing yourself into art studios and likewise. A lot of guys out here have asked me for psychology. A lot of people are asking me for psychology. Psychology, again, wonderful field. Psychology is applicable everywhere. You have psychology applicable in marketing. You have psychology applicable in finance. The way that I think finance, I'm born in Chennai, brought up in a lot of places across the country, from the north to the east to the western side. I've been in places like Singapore. I've traveled to places like Dubai, Qatar, a lot of these places. The way that I think about finance is going to be very different than maybe one of you all who's probably stayed in a particular city your entire life. Thought processes are different. Now, how do I map this? How do I map this thought process? That's not the work of a finance guy. That's the work of a psychologist. So behavioral finance as a concept, behavioral finance as a career option is a fantastic place to look at as well. Similarly, marketing, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of you all have to look at marketing as an area where you need to understand consumer behavior really, really well. You need to know what my consumer is thinking. The way, अगर आप Apple का phone लेकर जाओगे और आपको market में launch करना है, you want to launch an Apple phone, then there are different ways of launching it. Then there are different taglines that you use. So you'll use one launch. Maybe you look at someone in Delhi, thought process in Delhi. Oh, I associate iPhones or I associate an Apple phone with class, with a higher standard in society, with the fact that it gives me more value, more respect in the entire society. So your pitch line, your marketing line, your tagline that you use for someone in Delhi will be around why Apple iPhone will increase your value, will increase your personal value. But the same thing, same Apple iPhone, you go and pitch it to someone in Chennai. Chennai people don't care about whether I'm looking too cool or not. A lot of classic examples, they really don't care. They may be earning millions and millions and millions of people money, but they're not going to put in a lot of effort to try and look extremely classy and all of that. They're very happy with functional things. Now, if you look at you take an iPhone and you pitch it to someone in Chennai, the Chennai guy, you have to tell him why it is functional. What are the damn features in it? What are the sort of, why is it value for money? So how do I get to know this? This is psychology. My psychology is very different than yours. My perspective is very different than yours. Yes. So that's what a psychologist does. And now within psychology as well, there are so many fields, cognitive psychology, clinical psychology, you have counseling psychology, so many particular ways in which you can look at those things. At the same time, new age things like at Rishihood, currently we have a psychology program and we are now building a whole neuroscience dimension into psychology. I want more and more students to look at the, work with neuroscience, gadgets, with equipments, put your nodes onto someone else's head and try and understand what is it that makes this person happy? What are the particular habits that this person has? Understand the brain very well. Then take those concepts and apply them to a conceptual theoretical part of psychology and therefore help people, whether it's counseling, whether it's mental health counseling, whether it's career counseling, relationship counseling, whichever way that you can sort of put through. Now, I'm going to request a lot of you all have some questions that you put on the chat box. Please put them on the Q&A so I can be done with, I can be done with most of my talk and then I'll start taking those questions one by one as well. All right. So that is one part. Similarly, look at areas like mass media. Media and communications, a wonderful field. Your entire career, your entire lifeline right now is on digital media. आप लोगों को मैंने खाना नहीं दिया एक दिन तो चल जाएगा, but if I don't give you Instagram access, you're gonna die. Everyone out here is so glued to Instagram. All of you are like forever at Instagram particularly, right? So there are a lot of careers within that as well. There are people who are writing content. I personally specialize in marketing and advertising and branding. So I do work with a lot of content writers. One of my content writers at Rishihood, who works with me, that girl is one of the best content writers I've ever come across. And she is in grade 11. She's not even finished school yet. She's already writing content for big companies. I hire her, I work with her on a per piece basis, right? Content writing. So if you're someone who can write really well, you've written a lot of articles, make a career out of content writing, a lot of money there, a lot of requirement also. दुनिया में बहुत सारा ज्ञान है, लेकिन वो ज्ञान एक्चुअली में अच्छा है या नहीं है, बहुत सारे कम दे पाते हैं. And there are very few people who can articulate that knowledge very well. Therefore, content writing is extremely important. Digital platforms, OTT platforms, Netflix, Disney Hotstar, so many of these places require people with diverse backgrounds. Who are you? I'm a visualizer. I'm not a designer. Design is just the basic stuff. Design is just what I, scrape through. That's the basic foundation. But I am here to visualize things. My job is to understand how I can put a thought into a bigger picture and then customize it. Communication, guys, communication designers, vast field. The way that I communicate through my designs. If you go to my website, you should be able to see everything. Is it eye-catching? Is it not? If you come to my social media page, you should be able to find some value in it. What are the sort of creatives that I'm using? What are the sort of focus areas that I'm using? All of these are part of communication design. So mass media as a field as well. A lot of you asked me for journalism at the start of the program as well. Journalism as well has become such a beautiful career in the sense it's gone through a lot of changes. Long back, journalism was very specific to, you go ahead, you find out something, you report, and that's about it. Aap log reporting karte the pehle achhe se. Now journalism is also going through a lot of muck. there are suddenly many people who are shouting at the top of their voices saying India wants to know or something or the other. There are more companies. There was a time when people would pay money to to get good quality news, to understand what is happening in the country. People would pay money to get good quality news. Today, people are investing in news so that they can generate more TRPs for them, they can generate more publicity for them. You're making money out of news now. So news channels have now, a lot of them have become advertising platforms where a lot of these, whether it's politicians, whether it's any other people, just come in and bombard and try to push their agenda. But amidst all of this, there is a different version of journalism that has come up, which is individual journalism. So if you all have heard about the lady called as Faye D'Souza, I think she's one of the path-breaking journalists of our times. All of her shows, everything that she does is only online. Everything that she does is only through Instagram. So she has a page on Instagram which is called Faye D'Souza. All she does is she just puts in facts. This is the case. This is what happened. That's about it. No mirch, no masala, no tadka, nothing of that sort. No opinions given. This is the fact. This is the case that has happened. This is what people have said and so on and so forth. So you can decide for yourself what is the sort of takeaway that you want to take from there. Independent journalism doing fantastically well. So much opportunity there. If you're someone wanting to specialize in health sciences, nutrition and dietetics is a wonderful field. Fine. And there are ways in it as well. There was a fad beach mein na ye sab keto ho gaya aur pata nahi kaun se diet aa gaye. All of these diets were there one by one. We kept experimenting. And now suddenly I'm seeing this new generation of nutritionists which want to go back to our ancient history. They want to go back to our ancient Indian systems and try and see that this is the area. These are the sort of products that you should eat. You should eat more local. You should eat food according to the area that you are. So agar aapko paranthe khane ka man ho raha hai, then you should be in the north. That time breakfast you have parantha. But if you're in the south, you should have a dosa, whomsoever you can be, right? So people are focusing more on that. There's a large careers that you can build either online or offline within nutrition and dietetics as well. So I think health sciences, a lot of people I see right now are students who look at policy. I've always said this, that sadly, in the country, not just in the country, I talk to a lot of students abroad as well from different countries. Sadly, what is happening is education has just become, education in universities and undergraduate colleges, in a lot of other places, has just become a means to get a sort of placement, make some money, and that's about it. We've forgotten the fact that education was never meant for that. Education was to make you much more knowledgeable. Education was supposed to be given so that you can be able enough to go ahead and create impact in your own lives. You can go ahead and create a larger impact to your society, to your fellow members, and so on and so forth. So I think that impact leadership, that thought process, that whatever I do, whichever way, whichever career that I pick up, I should be able to come to a certain level that I am able to create impact, even in a very small way, to the people around me, to the society around me. That is missing. And that purpose is something that you all need to find. That purpose is what you should look at when you are finding a certain career for yourself. And it could be anything. Trust me, there are career options across everything else. One of my friends is a naturalist. He's a naturalist. He's one of India's finest naturalists. And when I say a naturalist, a lot of people come and say, ma'am, what is a naturalist? Naturalist kya hota hai? Naturalist hai someone who's a wildlife expert. Throughout his life, he's loved being in the outdoors. He's loved exploring forests. He's loved exploring wildlife in that sense. And he's now pursuing courses, very basic courses into wildlife sciences, into zoology with certain universities in the country, trying to understand these particular species. He specializes in tigers. Another colleague of mine specializes in reptiles. So these people try and see how much more can they learn. Online programs, offline programs within universities as well. They do courses there. They start working with organizations like a World Wildlife Fund, or there are multiple other organizations that are working within the same space. They intern with them. They find out internship options. They start working. They find a mentor with whom they can go and intern as well. And today, my friend Indrajit is one of the biggest naturalists in the world. People come from across the world, from different countries, wanting to say that we want to go ahead and explore the wildlife in the eastern sector of the country, but we want to do it only when he's there to guide us as well. And he's earning fantastically well. Mr. or Miss Extraordinary, he's earning fantastically well. Fine. So there are careers across everything else. Forget everything. Look at, so again, classic example. This is one of my, I won't say one of my friends, one of my seniors, college seniors, long years back. And I remember he struggled to, clear his exams. He struggled to sort of get through the sort of programs that he picked up. And we were all people who were like extremely high, fine. We had good marks in our 10th and 12th and so on and so forth. And this guy would always struggle to clear his exams. And likewise, we would always wonder, pata nahi kya karega, kaise karega. That time, when I finished 12th, we had options. We had a lot of career options, but not as wide as what you all have today. And cut to about 10 years later, I meet him at a reunion, a school reunion, not a college, but a school reunion. And I asked him, so, what are you doing? What are the ways like? Where are you working? Are you working somewhere? How have you shaped your life? And so on and so forth. And he was at that point of time, I'm talking about, I think about 5 years back. At that time, he was managing the merchandise, the apparel system, the merchandise, the branding for Kolkata Knight Riders. He said, Anju, I did a beautiful course in luxury management, in luxury branding and branding. Somewhere I picked up some random course in India and I did that. And I was lucky enough to find an opportunity with KKR. Now I handle that entire merchandise. I decide whether it should be black and gold or blue and gold. What sort of clothes are these players wearing? What sort of branding is going on their clothing? What sort of merchandise are we, releasing and all of that? It's a very well-paying job as well. Bollywood, it's by far one of the biggest consulting industries in the world. The sort of turnover that Bollywood, and when I say Bollywood, it includes your, Telugu industry and down south, all of the Indian film industry. If you look at the sort of turnover, they make more money than a country's GDP. These are not necessarily informal sectors. These are multiple ways in which you can actually go ahead and build a career as well. Theater has a lovely combination into subjects like marketing, because marketing is all about expression. Theater teaches you expression. So try and see that now that you all know that there are so many options, try and see that you are able to think about what are my interest areas, what are my hobbies, what are my strengths, what are the things I definitely hate. I don't want to do that at all. But these are areas that I'm passionate about. I really like doing them. Then think of what are the sort of, careers that I can sort of look at. And once you do that, once you sort of chalk down, then it's easier for you to shortlist universities. It's easier for you to shortlist your way out in academic programs as well. Now, while choosing academic programs, it is important that you are looking at certain factors, and the main factor, the main crux of any university. And again, I'm saying this more as a generic career counselor, whether it is that you apply to Rishi Hood or you apply to any other university. The common part in that university, in the curriculum, should be the choices that you get. What is the flexibility? What are the sort of different perspectives can I gain? Can I combine situations? Can I combine subjects? At any point of time, it should be at the start of the program or at the end of the program, at any point of time. Can I combine diverse disciplines, different disciplines, because then you'll be able to get in more skills, then you'll be able to get more perspectives. I saw this research done at the National Association for Colleges across the country, where they listed out what are the skill sets that employers, that companies are looking at when they hire students from colleges after they grad, after they post-grad. What are the sort of skill sets? Any idea what sort of skill sets would these be? Yes? Any idea on you can put it across on the chat box again. What sort of skill sets do companies and various other places look for in terms of people? Okay. I have communication skill. All right. What else? What else? Come on. What other skill sets will a company look for? Imagine that you are someone who's hiring for your company. What are the skill sets that you look at? Leadership. Okay. What else? Good command on computers, exact expression of thoughts, experience, passionate. All right. Profit motive. What is profit motive, sort of? Time management, capability, Fantastic. So a lot of good answers. The topmost skill that is required by companies is obviously leadership skills. Then interpersonal skills. How are you good at working with people? How are you good at managing things with your peer groups, with your people around you as well? Fine. Interpersonal skills. Then communication skills, like rightly some of you had put across as well. Communication skills. When can you articulate your thoughts? You have a lot of thoughts in your head, but can you actually talk about that? Can you actually express yourself well? What are the sort of tools that you can use to express them better? I think these are the more softer skills. इनको हम लोग hard skills नहीं बोलते. These are soft skills that people should have, and you need to develop certain ways in that. And leadership doesn't mean that, oh my God, I have to lead an entire team. और उसके बाद मैं, we'll have to sort of look at leadership skills. No, not necessary. Leadership skills could be how you display or rather how you handle a situation. If you're with 2 or 3 of your other friends and if you're in a problem, what is the sort of initiative that you take? How did you come out of that problem? What were the initiatives? What were the thought processes that went to your head? Even those can display your leadership skills. And then comes technical skills, and then comes the capability in that particular area. So interdisciplinary learning, the way that I'm able, my ability to think in diverse, yes, problem solving skills, fantastic. So my ability to think in diverse particular manner is something which is very, very valued by the industry today. So when I look at, let's say, when I look at a phone here in my hand, I should be, if I have a problem, a phone is a tech product, right? It's a technological product. I cannot go and say, hey, I'm a commerce student, I can't handle a technological problem. No, I should be in the position to handle everything. Or I'm a techie and I cannot say, मैं तो techie है, मैं सिर्फ क्या कहते हैं वो phone में जो technical fault होगा उसी को मैं solve कर सकता हूँ. I can't do anything else. You should be able to think in a finance way. You should be able to think in a psychology way. You should be able to think in a sociology way. You should be able to think in a health sector perspective. Whichever perspectives are there, you should be able to combine diverse disciplines and then look at things. And guys, understand this interdisciplinarity is not something new. A lot of times I see this concept, a lot of my counterparts, a lot of my colleagues in various places that I've heard them talking. And they always say that, interdisciplinarity, combining of various disciplines, this is a Western concept. This happens in Harvard, this happens in Stanford, this happens at the best of universities abroad, and now we should bring it to India. No, no, no. There is nothing in our history, in our culture, in our existence, nor in our geography, nor in any part of the country that says that we are not interdisciplinary. We human beings are extremely interdisciplinary. Look at myself, the way I'm talking to you, you're an audience that's ready to listen to me and are willing to take my guidance on a certain topic. The way that I behave with you is very different than what I was with, let's say, a student of mine that I've known for the last 6 months, half an hour back, or the way that I will be with my parents, or the way that I will be with my friends. We ourselves are different personalities, different people with different people, right? So there's a lot of interdisciplinarity between us as well, and that has to be valued. That has to be pushed forward. So any university, any institution, be it Rishiyut, be it one of the best other institutions in the country, you need to look for a course curriculum that can help you explore these choices. What are the combinations that I have? Then, one common thing, and I strongly believe in it, is one common thing if you look at the top institutions in the country or even in any of the countries abroad, whether it's Harvard, whether it's Stanford, whether it's Oxford, London Business School, whichever particular college that you take up, all of them have one common thing. And the common thing is that all of these universities, all of these institutions, IITs, AIMS, all of these institutions are residential in nature. When I say residential, it means that they make it a mandatory part that all of their students have to stay on campus and do the program. Why is it so? ऐसा क्या होगा? मैं दिल्ली से हूँ, मुझे IIT Delhi में जाके पढ़ना है, then why should I stay on the campus? I might as well go home and come back. Why is it important for you to be in a residential campus? Anyone? Anyone? Guys, please understand, it is no joke that an IIT or an IIM or any of these colleges are residential. There is a reason why they are residential particularly. Then why do you think are they residential? Keshav says to get the best infrastructure. Why Keshav? Ghar bhi to theek hi hai. It's okay, infrastructure, but ghar bhi to theek hi hai. We can focus only on our study. It can increase profits. No, not necessary. The amount of money that most of the universities charge you for a hostel expenses equates to the sort of services that they give you. So they're really not making any profit. Best resources for the courses, more interaction. That's a good answer, Kashish. Anyone else? Residential क्यों होना चाहिए भाई? मेरा तो घर 5 minute दूर है. Why should I get into this? Having a circle which is into the same thing to save time. Yes, a lot of these things, but more importantly, for the fact that when you're in a residential campus, it naturally makes anyone, whether from that particular city or someone from outside, to access the same opportunities within the same campus. So you're all on the same level. Secondly, you are people who are from diverse backgrounds, and therefore you can learn from each other, right? So when I am someone who is, let's say, studied in residential schools, boarding schools, I've been to different places. When I come to the college and I'm, let's say, sitting with someone who is 5 years senior to me, but in the same batch, when he's come from maybe one particular city as such, the way that he thinks about a certain problem, the way that I think about the same problem are going to be very, very, very different. Right? So they're going to be very different. So that exchange of perspectives in residential colleges, learning, 60 to 70% of the learning happens outside the classroom. 30 to 40% happens inside the classroom. 60 to 70% happens outside in terms of assignments, in terms of projects that you do, in terms of group assignments that you do, community projects, so many spaces that you sort of go ahead and work with. And that knowledge about how I will go ahead and, that knowledge about how I will understand someone else's perspective and then become a problem solver. Someone had mentioned earlier that, problem solving skill is one of the most important skills. Yes, it is not enough for you to just understand the problem. You should be able to give me solutions for it as well. You should be someone who can shape the future as well. So when you're doing that, you need to apply diverse perspectives, and those things grow in a residential university, in a residential institution. So if you're looking for a college, please ensure that you get into a residential college, you get into a residential university, and then go ahead and look at courses. So one is choices, one is residential universities, then the ecosystem. I was just talking to my students today in the evening about how IIT Kharagpur, despite the fact that it is an IIT and it's the oldest IIT amongst all of them, today does not command the same respect and the same value as that of an IIT Delhi or an IIT Bombay. And this is only and only because of the ecosystem. Kharagpur mein kuch hai hi nahi IIT ke alawa. Closest place is Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur mein sirf Tata hai aur kuch hai. There's no industry growing around that. But you look at places like Delhi NCR, you look at places like Bangalore, you look at places like Bombay, Hyderabad. These are places where there is a thriving industry going on. There's an ecosystem going on which you can benefit from. So which is the area that you're looking at? So if you're somewhere in the north, then Delhi NCR is a fantastic place. From Rishur is in Sonipat. From here, Gurgaon is barely 1.5 hours away. So naturally, anytime you want to access an internship or likewise, you can go there. Anytime I want to call a guest lecturer, I want to call someone from the industry to the campus and talk to you guys, it's very easy. But if I'm sitting in Kharagpur, jiske liye train badlo, fir flight badlo, fir pata nahi, bailgadi badlo, all of that if I do, I'm not going to get that exposure as well. So these are some very smaller nuances that you need to think of. And these are very, very important decision-making factors that you should take into consideration. What sort of scholarships do I get? Do I get any scholarships? If I'm studying at a university, is there an incentive that I give if I perform very well across that entire process? If I get scholarships, can I reduce the funding pressure on my parents as well? Look at all of these factors. These are extremely important. How many people, who are the people who are backing the university? Who are the people who are backing the institution? Fine. Are these people just one family? एक ही खानदान ने सब कुछ start कर दिया, पता चला उसमें कोई मर गया, and then the institution shuts shop. No. Or are there institutions where there are a lot of people from diverse backgrounds who come and support? So do you have industry people? Do you have business people? Do you have people from media? All of these things matter, and they matter a lot when you're choosing an institution. So think through all of these, think through these particular aspects, and then take a call on likewise. One last touch point on a career called as law. I think a lot of you all had asked me a particular, I think Asad wanted to know about law as well. Asad, law is one of the most thriving career options today that you can pick up. Recession ho nahi ho, lawyer ki hamesha zarurat hoti hai. And now with the fact that you don't need to only pursue judicial law, you can also pursue corporate law. There are either you take a BA LLB or a BBA LLB sort of program, which is a full-fledged law program. Or if you do not get into that, you could also have institutions where you can focus on a different major. So you can focus, let's say, on BBA, on an entrepreneurship program or a management program like BBA, and combine legal studies with it. You combine legal studies with it, and then you move forward. So you can learn the legal aspects of it as well. And at the same time, you can secure that area much better. So I think law has a very strong option. Before I sort of start taking questions, I'm just going to quickly run through. Wait, just give me 1 minute. I'm just going to quickly run through and introduce you to Rishihood. Because Rishihood is also the platform that has allowed me to talk to you and talk to a lot of students in that sense, in terms of how you can go about. Now, Rishihood is India's first and only impact university. My entire basis, my entire idea about education at Rishihood is to reach a point where each of our students can, there's one thing that a lot of people talk about, that you should be prepared for the future. I will prepare you for the future. I will prepare you for the future. Fantastic. What if you make the future? What if you become leaders who can actually create the future? You need to be those guys. There are so many, wonderful things, wonderful developments happening across the country today. There is neuroscience, there is virtual reality, there is artificial intelligence, there are IoT, so many things that are backing up, and you can sort of look at those things. So one part, how to approach your career choices, we were talking about this. Step one, jot down what are your interests. By tonight or tomorrow night, my numbers have been shared on the chat box. I will ask my colleague to again repeat it once again. Please send me a brief, 150, 200 words of a short essay about yourself. What are your interest areas? What are your hobbies? What are your strengths? What do you think are your weaknesses? I can't focus a lot. If you come and say, ma'am, my focus is, my weakness is that my attention span is very short, then I would like you to review the time that you actually spend on Instagram, and you'll realize your attention span is really, really good. It's just that the content differs, right? So think through that. What are your interests? Jot down that. Once you've done that, then identify the study options. If you're someone who loves talking, marketing is a fantastic career. If you're someone who's very empathetic, who likes to understand people, psychology is a very good career. If you're someone who's extremely structured in your approach, human resources is a very good career. If you're someone who sees numbers everywhere, engineering or even finance is a very good career. So look through the study options and start researching on the scope for those particular programs. It could be anything. Photography also, even something as specific as photography, has a lot of scope in terms of becoming an entrepreneur, or joining a media company, or getting into the media industry particularly. Wildlife photography in its own way is a very large area. Even Shutterstock imaging. A lot of you might have heard of this company called as Shutterstock, which, supplies a lot of images to the world, and a lot of photographers can actually contribute there. Journalism has a lot of scope for photography as well. So look through that. Once you've identified the study options and done some research, then you find out what is the college that offers your interest. What are these colleges that can give you your interest areas, not just in terms of fee structures, but more in terms of the program curriculum. And the way that I told you earlier, look at how many options, what is the flexibility in options that they can look at. Once that is done, obviously you have to discuss with your parents on the affordability, how much can you afford, what are the ways in which you can ease out their financial stress, and then finally go through the admission process. Always remember, first step is that the university has to select you. So you need to go through the process. You need to ensure that the admission process is done well, and then you can go ahead and figure out, fine? And then once the university selects you, then you can think of ki kya scholarship hai, kya nahi hai, jana hai, nahi jana hai, college pasand aaya, nal ka pani pasand aaya, whatever it is like, and then you can figure out the options that are there. Now, at Rishihood, like I mentioned, we are India's first and only impact university. We've identified 5 areas inclusive of entrepreneurship, creativity, education, public leadership, and healthcare, where we believe are areas which can have a larger impact on the society. So all of our courses come in from these particular areas as such. In terms of courses, so under social sciences and humanities, I have a BA honors psychology program. There's an economics program. There's a BBA program for people who are very focused on finance and accounting. BCom honors is a wonderful opportunity as well. For people who are more creative, you want to let loose your imagination, let loose your ideas, then the bachelor's in design is a fantastic course. You can pursue product design, you can pursue fashion and textile, communication design, interior architecture, whichever way that you want. And if you are someone who's passionate about the medical way, but you do not want to become a doctor, doctor nahi banna, mujhe itna sara kaam nahi karna, then maybe you can look at areas like public health and hospital administration. These are upcoming areas. These are new age careers within the medical field as well. And trust me, a lot of growth. Every college, you look at Apollo hospitals, wonderful case study. You enter an Apollo hospital, it is no less than a hotel. But who manages that is a guy who's a pass out of a hospital administration course, not necessarily a doctor. So you can look at these particular fields for yourself. The steps are very simple. You need to apply to the issued online application form. Usually the issued application form is a 1,000 rupee form. But since you all have taken the time to listen to me nonstop for the last 1 hour, we will offer you a 50% waiver on the same. There's a certain code. I'd request my colleague to just share the codes with you all as well. So you can access the application form onto the portal. Once you apply, you become part of the Rishihood Catalyst program. Now, the Catalyst program is a very simple program wherein we do a lot of 5 to 6 webinars, counseling sessions on different topics. So yesterday, I was talking to students on how to write a strong statement of purpose. You know, how do I write a strong statement of purpose? Because a statement of purpose is part of every application, whether issued or any other good college, they will ask you to write a statement of purpose. How do I prepare for aptitude exams? A lot of colleges, law or otherwise, or any particular program have aptitude tests. Aapko army mein jana hai, NDA, CDS are aptitude exams. So how do I crack these aptitude exams? There will be a session on that. As a high school student, how do I take decisions? There's a decision-making session for that. We do a lot of psychometric tests with our students, with our applicants to try and understand what their areas of strength are and then help them chart out their career paths as well. So every Rishihood applicant becomes part of the Catalyst program, and you can access all of this. And naturally, once you go through the process, the admission process, which has an online application, the RSAT, which is the scholarship and aptitude test, and a personal interview. Once you go through this entire admission process, we let you know whether you're selected for the program or not. And if you're selected, do you get a scholarship or not? So if you get a scholarship, evaluate the option, visit the campus. If it appeals to you, please go ahead and seal your your futuristic part as well. So that is just a brief on RU that I wanted to give you. And now I'm going to take a lot of questions. Yes, the codes for the application form, fee waiver are put on the chat box. Please do access, and post this session, post this talk today. I also do a lot of counseling sessions. One counseling session which I do free of charge for all of the students whom I meet on a webinar. I have one coming on the 23rd, which is day after tomorrow. This will be at 7 p.m. This is a closed group session, which means I don't take more than 10, 15, 20 students. And that will be a two-way interaction. So, abhi kya hai, aap mere ko dekh sakte ho, main aapko nahi dekh sakti. But at that time, we'll see each other. We'll look at each other. I would want to listen from you. What is your profile? What are the ideas that you want to, go ahead and access the counseling session, and then see whether you can, sort of get an answer to at least some of your questions. So the registration links are there. Please do access that. There are very limited seats. I would not want you to miss out on the opportunity. Guys, when I was your age, there was no one gala phadofying like this for an hour, trying to tell them that these are the ways in which you can go ahead and build your career. Fine, but we are there. We've been counseling students for decades now. Please take our advice. मिल रहा है ज्ञान लपेट लो, अच्छे से काम करो, and then ensure that you are able to take informed decisions. There are far too many students who take up calls just because parents ne bola hai, bhai ne bola hai, pura dunya mera, my entire family is a lawyer, therefore I want to get into law. Please do not take calls like that. Even if you have to do that, you should know why you're taking that. You should take an informed decision, and that is very important. My contact number is given. Please do send me a small brief. And when I say small brief, doesn't mean only 2 lines. Give me at least 100, 150 words on yourself as to what you're planning to do. And then I can take that up on maybe the counseling session as well. With that, I will stop talking, or rather I will start taking some questions that I have in terms of the questions that I see here. Let me see. What is the career option after ornithology? You can get into research. Whoever this person is, Mr. or Miss Extraordinary, ornithology is a very specific field. For good or bad, of course, you have a lot of options within the wildlife segment, whether you want to become a naturalist, whether you want to become a specific, a specialist in terms of ornithology alone. But I think there are more opportunities in academic research. So if you want to get into that field, you can do a zoology program or an environmental studies program in India, and then go for a master's, which is more focused on ecosystem sciences or ecosystems, or even ornithology, for example, as a subject area for your master's program. So I think that will really help you. Lavanya says, how to convince parents for these careers? Lavanya, please make me meet them. If you want, you can bring them for the career counseling session as well. I would love to meet your parents, and I would love to explain to them why there is a lot of opportunity in managing, or rather in exploring, new age careers. What is the scope of BTech in electronics and electrical engineering after a span of 5 to 6 years? Okay, anonymous attendee, I think everything that you do right now, every particular field that you do right now is relevant not for more than 5 years, 5 or 6 years, fine. Even electronics and electrical engineering, these are spaces that are going through a lot of transformations. Electronics, for example, earlier used to be more about the hardware, more about how the particular device functions, and likewise, and you're trying to balance it out more. Now, I think it's a whole lot of artificial intelligence that's come into picture. I was talking to a friend of mine today morning, who we are planning to see if I can integrate some of those courses that he offers into the Rishiut programs. And he is into absolute artificial intelligence and virtual reality. His members are making NFTs, they're designing stuff, and they're introducing this into multiple areas of engineering as well. So I think you'll have to keep an update, keep a check on where these fields are moving in, and then take a specific call. Same thing with computer sciences, Anuj. Computer science, again, vast field, very dynamic. It is being said that robotics is going to take over us, robots are going to take over us. But I believe that wherever be robotics, you'll still require a human being to guide. So you will still have the focus on creative careers. You will still have to think creatively. You'll still have focus on careers like psychology, which can actually control these machines as well. So machine learning, artificial intelligence, these are very strong areas that are building up right now. And if you're looking at a computer science program, by all means, do try and pursue, do a lot of research in terms of what is the scope that it has, what are the areas, what are the sort of careers that you can look at, where are the places that I'll have to grow, and then take a call on that. Career options which do not require a college degree for academically weaker students. Okay, so this comes under the vocational background. There are a lot of vocational careers which are very specialist driven. Now, sadly, in India, the bandwidth for vocational careers is very low. So if you're looking at something which is a career option that can help you really make a lot of money, then you should do an undergrad degree at least, fine. But if your only interest is in learning a certain skill and doing something around that, then any vocational career, whichever that you're interested in, you can pick up. There are a lot of organizations, skill development organizations that do that. There are short-term courses that you can pick up in universities and otherwise online as well that will help you get into that as well. So those are areas that you can look at. Lakshya wants to know how to become a CFO. Lot of work. You need to start at the basics. If you're a commerce student, please take a BCom honors program first. Get into that, start learning finance, start learning, building your skill in the finance specific, accountancy specific functions. Get into CFA. Maybe you can do a chartered financial analysis or a chartered accountancy as well, and then grow. Once you start working 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years into the same thing is when you start acquiring knowledge of strategy. CFO is not just finance or accounting. CFO is a strategic role. So you should have the bandwidth to think through how my financial decisions are going to affect the entire organization in its own self. And that is when you become. So it's a long game, but a lot of people, 40s is the new 30s, or 30s is the new 40s, whichever way. A lot of people have started to take up very senior roles younger in age. It just depends on how many people, and you need to network with more and more finance professionals, and then look at. Okay, Sia has interior design. I think, Lakshya, what courses? I've just answered that. Interior design is it's not an upcoming field. It's part of interior architecture as well. Again, design as a field has grown beautifully. not just from the plain artistic design jo aap banate the, and then you used to think of visualize things, but I think it's also very vocational based. It's got a lot of skill based things as well. And now with virtual reality coming into picture in design courses, I think the whole paradigm has changed. So you can create, create models of your interior design on a virtual in the metaverse actually, and then present it to clients and look at things. So if you have a penchant, if you have an inclination towards design or designing things or decking up things, I think interior architecture is a wonderful field that you can pursue. It's a specialization at Rishud within the Bachelor's in Design program. So if you're interested, we can talk about that more. Okay. Let me look at a couple of other things. Okay, a lot of questions, but let me figure out. Is share market a good career? Yes and no. Yes, because it has a lot of growth. Obviously, trading as such, whether in the equity market or in the debt fund market, is a very, very strong player. But then you have to have absolute acumen in it. So companies like Enam Investments, Motilal Oswal in financial services. Motilal Oswal is one of the largest financial services organizations in the country. Luckily for us, Motilal Oswal sir is also a part of our founding board, and therefore he visits the campus, he talks to the students on a regular basis. Their entire business model is around trading and share market. So it is a wonderful career for sure. Your inclination has to be more towards investment banking and investments as such. There are a lot of courses short term, and more generically at an undergrad level, you should do a BCom or a BBA, either of the two. BBA with a specialization in finance or a BCom program, which will get you into the starting, the first level into the share market trading part, and then look at. No, because it challenges. It's a very challenging career option, and you can really easily get into it. You can easily get sucked into it that you forget the basics and you actually go ahead and lose a lot of money. So you have to be very careful. It's a lot of game of your value systems and how you can sort of get into that. But yes, investment banking, mutual funds, financial services, these are areas that you can look at. Explain UPSC. Okay, UPSC. A lot of students have asked me about UPSC in the past as well. 40 lakh plus students give the UPSC exam every attempt. It is not very easy to get into UPSC in the first attempt when you're really, really young. More so because, yes, I think Yash also is preparing for IAS. That's a fantastic thing. Lakshay also. There's a certain maturity that I need, or that a country needs, when you're handling a administrative role, right? So when you are maybe 18 or 19, unless and until you show a lot of promise in the exam, and in the CSAT exams and in your subjectives, and likewise, there are very rare chances that you get shortlisted for the program in the first attempt itself. So the average age of a lot of people who get through UPSC is around 24, 25, 26 as well. So use your chances well. There's an age group, age level till about, I think, 28 or 30. Long due training, you have to eat, drink, sleep UPSC. CSAT is a difficult exam. Your passion for history, geography, constitution of the country has to be very, very strong. Civics का आपका subject होता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा strong होना चाहिए. So you need to practice a lot on that. There are obviously coaching institutions that will train you, but I would want you to start looking at what are the ways. Have a plan B. Someone asked a question saying, what is the plan B? Should we have a plan B? Plan B, always very necessary. Always very necessary. So someone in UPSC or IAS services, if you want to get into that, the plan B could be to look at public leadership courses, to look at policy courses, to look at public policy courses. They will also give you the same access to administrative areas within the country, and then you'll be able to grow through them as well. Lavanya says, how to convince parents for these careers that they will tell there is risk and less salary? No, Lavanya, I think there's a lot of salary. There is money for anyone who is skilled, but you have to be skilled and you have to have the right attitude. I handle a team of 20 plus people who are anywhere between the age group of 19 to 40, 45. There's one thing common. You can have talent, but talent is available everywhere. All of you guys are talented in some or the other way, right? What is more important is your attitude. So your attitude to constantly learn, unlearn and relearn, that passion, that interest, that attitude is what is going to define. So if you're someone who says that I want to get into a job, 9 से 5 बजे मुझे काम करना है, उसके ऊपर मेरे को दिमाग नहीं लगाना है, then you're not going to thrive in any industry. You'll not be able to find out your way into any particular industry. So you need to be someone who can be more passionate, A lot of people had initially at the start of the session asked me about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a beautiful skill. Entrepreneurship is something that is required by companies as well. I can be an employee in a company, but if I don't think like an entrepreneur, if I don't take initiatives, if I don't take risks like an entrepreneur, I can never grow in that company. And companies like Apple, Google, IBM, LG, Samsung, Pepsi, Coke, Volkswagen, Oracle, IBM, any of these companies, you take any of these companies, all of them require people who are initiative driven, who can think like an entrepreneur. It's got a word called intrapreneur. So you should definitely look at those particular aspects. Shrishti says, is cinematography a good career option? Yes, Shrishti, a lot of development. Santosh Sivan specifically is a beautiful cinematographer who's gotten through the focus on cinematography as a skill as well. There are a lot of companies today who shoot corporate videos. So you don't necessarily have to think of cinematography only from a perspective of, say, the film industry as such. Even corporate, there are a lot of corporate videos. There are a lot of these short, art studios and film studios who actually make short films. There are videographing companies that help you get into photography and videography at a large scale vision, and they do a lot of these events. They cover a lot of stuff. So cinematographers have a lot of demand, and you can if you're really skilled at your work, then there's no particular bar to the sort of money that you can buy. Money seems to be the motivator everywhere, but having said that, I think it's also the sort of satisfaction you'll get once you do something into the same field. I want to be a counselor. Please tell how can I reach there? Purnima, the best way to do a counseling program is to do BA honors in psychology. If you're looking at Rishihood, please do apply to the program. It's a fantastic course. There's a lot of focus on the counseling segment. We have a mental health counseling department of our own as well, which helps us, which helps employees like us also if we have mental health issues to go through that. It's a lovely career, and it has a wonderful progression. So if you want to get into, so at Rishihood, what happens is there are a lot of areas where you can combine things. Okay. So let's say you're a psychology major. In the third year, you can take psychology major and a design minor, or you can take psychology major and a BBA minor. Similarly, you can take a design major and you can take a psychology minor. So add up perspectives, have those choices to go ahead and explore things. Now, when you do that as a counselor, as a counseling student, once you graduate with a psychology major and a design minor, you can actually use art therapy to do your psychology part, to help your clients as well. So I think that's a growing field. Please let's talk about it in a little deeper. If you're part of the counseling session on, day after tomorrow, I'd love to sort of see that as well. Okay. I'm going to just quickly see what are the other aspects that I can look at. I know these I've already done. How to build up your confidence while giving an interview. Lakshay, that's part of my Catalyst program. So if you're part of the course, please take up that session as well. That will really, really help you. What are career options which can be started from now? Lavanya, a lot of career options. Darling, like I said, I have a student of mine. I have an 11th student who's doing content writing, and she's actually she's actually doing very well. So you'll have to start. If you are content driven, then start writing content. If you are a designer, if you're someone who can design very well, then try doing that. If you're getting into any other field, psychology, healthcare, likewise, and you want to work on those areas, counseling areas, start doing internships. So many places that you can find internships, your organizations in and around your particular city as well. You can look at those places and do internships, 10-day internships, 15-day internships. Usme kariye, and then you can sort of pick through there as well. Can you please tell about hotel management? Again, good career. Hospitality. I would say hotel management is very specific, Deepthi, but hospitality is a good space. Although in recent times, due to COVID, it's taken a hit, but there are very specific colleges that teach you on hospitality management or hotel management that can narrow down your area. So if आप सिर्फ hotels में ही रह जाते हो, a better part would be for you to do a business program, a BBA program, and then apply for the hospitality sector for work. Because that way you will be able to manage hotels also very well. You'll be able to get the hospitality experience, and you will not be typecast into one particular area. Is fashion designing a good career? Of course, Sampurna. Have you seen recently Deepika Padukone was at the FIFA World Cup? The sort of design is Louis Vuitton. Each and everything that they create runs into millions and millions of rupees, can actually run families of so many people. So yeah, fashion designing is a wonderful area. Now there are more scope for people to start their own fashion labels, and with platforms like social media, like Instagram, and likewise, you can actually take up, a lot of other things as well. Yash, I think we did cover UPSC in detail. If you still have doubts, just write to me. I will look at things separately as well. And corporate related areas requiring strong leadership and communication. Yeah, everything in the corporate requires strong leadership and communication. Everything. Finance, operations, marketing, HR, international business, entrepreneurship, any of these fields require strong leadership and communication. So communication skills is something that you have to build through multiple ways. Guys, do courses. There are so many online programs that are available. You can sort of think through and then take it up as well. Let me look at a couple of other questions. I'm going to take, guys, last 2 minutes for questions, and I'm not going to take in more than that. I think we've done almost 1.5 hours on the same thing. 12th humanities, can a scope in physiotherapy diploma and degree? Wow. Okay, Lakshmi, with humanities, physiotherapy is a little difficult. You should have a science background. What you could do is take up something in allied healthcare services. So, for example, if you take a hospital administration sort of a service and then start looking at smaller certification programs within the physiotherapy segment, you may be able to do that. But if you want to practice it, if you want to become a practitioner in the physiotherapy department, then you will need a science background. You will not be able to work it out with the humanities one. All right, so am I done with that? Weber wants to know IPM. Weber, can you give me the full form? Product management? Are you talking about product management? International product management? If you can just give me what is IPM according to you. There are just so many BBA plus Acha, integrated programming. Okay. This is the Indore integrated program, BBA plus MBA. I think it started off well, to be very honest. It started well when it started the program. But now, whether you do a BBA plus MBA integrated or you do a BBA program and then you do an MBA program, is the same thing. It will only depend on which is the university, which is the institution that you sort of pick up. And obviously, BBA is a natural progression into an MBA program and has a lot of scope. So you can build across that as well. Stream is commerce. My interest is in drawing. After 12th, I want to go abroad. Then what do I do with my IELTS? IELTS is a language testing tool. Fine. So it only tests you on whether your English is good or not. So that is required for most of the countries. But if your interest is in drawing, please explore design as a concept. And again, to everyone out here, I know a lot of you all have plans to go abroad and likewise. But trust me, the undergraduate ecosystem in India is really, really strong. So you can look at that, at the undergrad level. And I would advise you to go for a postgrad abroad. If not in India, our postgrad ke liye bahar ja sakte hain, and that will be much more beneficial than shelling out a bomb for undergrad education abroad. So if you have interest in drawing, I think design is a fantastic program. Please look through design, fashion and textile, or interior architecture. These will really suit you. All right, with that, I'm going to come to the end of this session. If you all still have questions, please text me individually on my number. I'm waiting to see a lot of your profiles, a lot of your briefs, and maybe meet you across day after tomorrow for a personalized counseling session as well. So let me see how things can be done there. Meanwhile, do ensure that you're part of the Catalyst program. Do ensure that you apply to Rishut. Guys, please understand, when you're going for universities, you need to apply at least for 5. Agar aapka 5 mein ho gaya, then there is a problem with your selection. You've not selected the right colleges. Fine. So apply to at least 5. You will get through not more than 3. Once you get through 3 of them, check up what are the scholarships, check up what are the financial aid options that you get, and then take a call. And if you all are anywhere around Delhi NCR, I would invite you to come and visit Rishut at any point of time. There are some very, very cool things that we do in terms of our program, curriculum, and likewise. Please do explore, and then we will see. I will see you in the PCS session. The codes are there on your chat box. The registration link for the PCS session is there. My numbers are there in the chat box. Please do utilize this opportunity and take it through that. With that, thank you so much for listening to me for such a long time. And I hope that you're able to take informed decisions about your careers going ahead as well. Thank you so much.